but there we go. So we are recording this, but let me start off with my intro. I want to welcome everyone tonight. Thank you so much for spending your evening with us. My name is Janina Navarro, and I am the program manager for the City of Cupertino's Below Market Rate program. I work with Rise Housing Solution. Joining me tonight is Matt Warner, who is the president of Rise Housing. We have designed this workshop because in the world of low-income housing, there's so many acronyms such as BMR, HCD, and a variety of other acronyms. And so it's very easy to feel overwhelmed in this world. Now, every city has its own set of rules, but the goal for tonight is that everybody here can kind of understand what the City of Cupertino's below market rate program actually entails, what it does, and how you can possibly gain some assistance from it. Now we do have a lot of information to cover, so I do ask that everyone kind of hold your questions until the end. As the presentation, because it does have so much information, you might be able to find that your questions are answered along the way. But that being said, please feel free to use the Q&A. Matt will be answering the questions, and we'll also hold a time at the very end of this presentation to dig into like some real life scenarios if you guys want to. With all that being said, let's get started. So again, this is the City of Cupertino's below market rate program. And this is an informational workshop. As a reminder, this Zoom is being recorded and it will be made available following this meeting. So we'll post it online, and then anybody who wishes to receive it directly can always email us. Our direct email is cupertino@risehousing.com. There we'll respond to you, and we can send you this link directly. These are the items that we'll be going over tonight. This is our agenda. So we'll kind of go over who Rise Housing Solutions is, what we do. We'll also go over an overview of the BMR rental program for the City of Cupertino. We'll also go over the ownership program for Cupertino, what the priority points look like, what the lottery process is, how to join the 2025 waitlist, which I know is everybody's big question. And then again, like I said, we will have a time at the very end for questions and comments. Okay, so Rise Housing Solutions, who we are. We are a agency that partners with local jurisdictions and companies in the Bay Area. Our main goal is to advance the affordable housing and like through an equitable program design and management. We do manage other jurisdictions, which include Novato, Daly City, Alameda, San Leandro, and we do have a special program for 777 Hamilton, which is teacher housing, which is kind of winding down, but I did just decide to mention it. Now into the nitty-gritty of the BMR rental program. The BMR rental inventory is comprised of 142 units. They're spread across 9 different buildings, and we have a variety of 1, 2, and 3 bedrooms. The most popular ones are the 1 and the 2 bedroom. We do have a couple of 3 bedrooms. They're kind of scattered throughout the buildings, and I believe in total we have 7. So not that many 3 bedrooms, but we do have a large portion of our portfolio is comprised of 1 and 2 bedrooms. We do have an average turnover of 15 to 25 units that become available per year. For example, this year we're already at 20 units that have become vacant. And so we're usually towards the holiday season, we do see a little bit more turnover. So we'll see what we end with this year, but the average for every year is between 15 and 25. New development. Currently, the Rise Housing, we don't have any new developments that are in our pipeline for us to manage for 2025. But that being said, because we do partner with the city of Cupertino, we do receive notice if there are any new developments. If you are part of our mailing list, I've put the link here, which is www.risehousing.com/rise updates. There, you'll be able to receive a variety of news across different jurisdictions if you want to, but specifically for Cupertino, it'll notify you, for example, about this wait list, about the workshop. It'll let you know if we do have any new developments, how to apply. We'll send you the link. And so we do highly recommend that everybody signs up for our newsletter, as you know, you would be one of the first to find out if there are any new developments. But again, we don't currently have any new developments that are going to be managed by us in 2025. Also the city's website, which I've also linked here, which is cupertino.org. And they have a community development page. On there, you'll be able to periodically check the city's website for any new updates regarding any new developments. Okay, the income limit. So the BMR program is designed to assist 3 income bands, which is the extremely low income, which is up to 30% AMI. I haven't listed the income limits here because we do only have 2 units in the program that are designed for extremely low income. All the other units, well, a majority of, aside from those 2, the other units are for very low income and low income households. Now, these are the income limits for 2024. Typically, they update every year around May. June is usually the latest that they'll update. So this is current up until May or June of 2025, we can say. So if anybody's watching this afterwards, just please be aware that the income limits do change. And then we do post any new income limits that do come out on our website. So we do also recommend that you check our website for any updated information. But this is kind of letting you know what the maximum income limits is. So for a household of 3, for example, if you are interested in renting into our program, the maximum that your household can make is $82,950 as a very low income household. Now, what does that mean exactly? So all of this is prior to your taxes being taken out. So I know taxes are a little scary right now, but either way, even if you made this after taxes, this does have to be something that's before taxes. So let's say that you do make this amount, the $82,950 after taxes, you would most likely fall into the low income range, which, as you can see here, is $131,500, and that's the limit again before taxes. Sorry. So just kind of giving you guys a guide of what the income limit would be for you depending on your household size. And so HCD always publishes between a household size of 1 up to 8. And so according to these income limits is where we get the BMR rental amounts. So as you can see, let's go back to that household of 3. This household of 3 would either qualify for a bedroom size of 1 or 2 because there is a minimum household size. I'm sorry, and they would also qualify for the 3 bedrooms. So it just depends. Now, let's say this household gets into a 2 bedroom. Right now, the rental rate for a 2 bedroom is about $1,800. If you want specifics, I can share that, but it is about $1,800. It's on the lower end of the $1,800. And as you can see, the 3-bedroom is also 1,800, but that one's on the higher end of the 1,800s. And so you can see how the rental rates fluctuate depending on the income band that you land in. So if you are low income, then that same 2-bedroom would be 2,200. And now these rental rates are determined by the HCD's income limit. So it's not based necessarily on your particular income. So we wouldn't take your income and then adjust it 30% in order to find a specific rental rate for the individual household. So these are kind of standard across the entire program. Yeah. And the asset limit, what does that mean? It's basically how much you have as far as like savings. We don't look at anything, and I believe that's the next slide. Yeah. So what is counted as an asset? So it's checking, savings accounts, stocks, mutual funds. I think Robinhood is really popular right now. So things like that, all of that would be considered an asset. And again, your household asset cannot exceed the maximum gross income allowed for household size. Now, you may ask, what does that mean? And I apologize that I'm kind of jumping everywhere, but I'm going to jump back 2 slides. So let's go back to this household size of 3. Their maximum household asset can be $82,950 to still qualify for the program. So I'm going to go back. Anything that's not included as an asset are typically like 401k, anything that's retirement. We don't count a car as part of your household asset, so we don't need anything regarding that. We don't count, I don't want to say material things, but yeah, like a car is the best example that I can give you guys as far as like what's not counted as an asset. Moving on, this also kind of ties into the assets, because if you are currently owning a home, although it wouldn't be counted as an asset, that would not qualify you for the BMR rental program. And that's for ownership and also for rental. So you cannot currently own a home or be on title of any property anywhere in the world. So even if you have a family home that's in your name in a different country, unfortunately, that would not qualify you for the BMR program. And now current BMR tenants cannot apply for the 2025 City of Cupertino's BMR waitlist. And now you may ask me, why is there a little asterisk? Well, the city and Rise Housing are aware that currently there are some restrictions on certain BMR units that are set to expire within the next 2 years, which could impact current tenants. Now, the city is currently in a process of crafting potential solutions to prioritize these tenants and to minimize the displacement. And so that's why the asterisk is there. This potential prioritization could impact the current wait list for this year, so 2025, or the 2026 wait list. Now, as more details come, we will let everyone know. Again, it's not something that has been solidified, so it's still kind of in the works. Okay, now we'll get into the BMR purchase program, which is very similar to the BMR rental program, and you'll see the similarities soon. Now, in the program, we do have a total of 119 BMR homes. They are a mix of condos, townhomes, single-family homes. These range from 1 to 4-bedroom units. I don't have a list of exactly which units have like which bedroom count, but what I can say is the most popular ones are between 2 and 3 bedrooms. That's what we've seen frequent anytime we've had a resale come up. And the average turnover is about 1 to 2 per year. Although the last 2 years we have had three resales come up, so that's always good. And now the eligibility requirements for the purchase program. Again, they have income limits. Now, these ones are a little bit higher than our rental program. Our BMR ownership program is designed to help out median income households and moderate income households. And so a family of three at median can earn up to $165,850, and that same family can also earn $199,050 in order to qualify for our BMR purchase program. And again, all of this is pre-tax income. So if you feel like you're earning 167 after taxes, you would probably qualify for the moderate income as a household of three. And so again, these income limits are just until maybe about May or June of next year, so 2025. So if anybody's watching this after that, please be aware that income limits do go up. And as they go up, everything changes. But we do regularly update our website with any new information regarding income limits. Now the asset limits for the BMR purchase program. So the household asset limit is a little over $100,000, or 30% of the BMR purchase price, whichever is greater. And this is anywhere. So if you have assets outside of the United States, that will also be counted towards your household assets. And again, we're going to go over what is counted as an asset. It's just checking, savings accounts, stocks, mutual funds, CDs, money market accounts, all that jazz. What is not counted as an asset would be your retirement. So let's say you have $200,000 saved up in your retirement, that will not count against you. It would just be whatever's in your checkings and your savings and all of these other accounts. Okay. So there is a minimum down payment in order to qualify for the program. So it's 5%. It does have to be available for down payment and for closing costs. Now, this can be split up in two ways. So the buyer must come in with at least 3% of your own funds. Let's say you have a mom or an auntie or somebody that's like, hey, I'm so glad that you're buying a house. I want to give you some money. They can contribute at least, up to 2%, and then you can cover that 3%, and that will touch your base of the 5%. Now, the pricing does vary depending on the purchase price of the home, but what we do recommend is about 12,500 is needed in order to qualify. Now, again, this can vary, but this is about the average that we've seen. There is a requirement that you do have to be a first-time home buyer in order to be eligible for the program. Now, there are some exceptions. The exception is for anybody who was a homeowner prior to a divorce or is widowed. And again, this first-time home buyer, this is also if you have property in a different country. Unfortunately, that does not you wouldn't be counted as a first-time home buyer, even though it is outside of the United States. You do have to be a first-time home buyer, or the exception is that any homeowners prior to a divorce. And now we'll kind of go over the priority points and the lottery process. And so in total, you can receive up to 4 points. You can receive 1 point if you are a resident of Cupertino. So basically, if you live in the boundaries of Cupertino. There are some people who live on like the corner of San Jose and Cupertino, or Santa Clara and Cupertino. Unfortunately, your address does have to be in the Cupertino area. So you do have to have a Cupertino address. Even if you live on that corner, unfortunately, it does have to reflect a Cupertino address in order to qualify for that point. You would receive 2 points if you work in Cupertino. So this is separate from that 1 point that you would receive for just living in Cupertino. So 2 points for working in Cupertino. Also with COVID, post-COVID, I think everybody's in the norm of just working from home. So if you have a letter from your employer, let's say that they are outside of Cupertino, but you work 100% remote inside of Cupertino in your house at Cupertino, then you would qualify for that point. But we do need a letter from your employer stating that you are 100% remote and you will not be required to go back into the office. And that would qualify for you for that point as well. Now, all of this is not required when you fill out the application for the waitlist. So the initial application, all of this will be required after. So once we have a vacancy or once we have a home available for sale, we will email you and we'll let you know, hey, we need verification of the points that you claimed when you filled out the 2025 waitlist. So that would, in total, if you work in Cupertino and you are a Cupertino resident, you would qualify for 3 preference points. Now, you gain an additional point if you are a public employee that works inside of Cupertino. What is a public employee? This is a school district employee, a city employee, police, fire, post office, all of those things, that would qualify you for an additional point. And so in total, the most that you can get is 4 points. So there's 4 points, 3 points, 2 points, 1 point, and then people that are qualified for 0 points. So we do recommend that everybody applies, even if you feel like you don't have that many points. There's always a fair shot. And so now this is kind of what we do during the lottery process. So applicants who were on the wait list in prior years do have to reapply to be eligible for this new upcoming waitlist, which will be open in October. So for the 2025 waitlist, if you were on the 2024 waitlist, you do have to reapply. This is an annual list. So let's say you were on the list in 2024, you don't apply for 2025, and then you decide to apply for the 2026 waitlist, you would basically be counted as a new applicant and you wouldn't be able to hold your old position. Now applicants can apply for both the rental and the purchase waitlist for 2025. And so applicants who do reapply from the previous years obviously take priority over the new applicants who are in the same preference point bracket. Now there is some people lose points, some people gain points, and so that will also determine kind of where you land on the waitlist as well, if you are reapplying. More into it, new applicants are added to the bottom of the list of the priority group for which they are eligible. And then they fall after those who have reapplied, so from the 2024 waitlist. And then the lottery is held for all the new applicants to determine where they would land. So we have technically 5 waitlists, so a 4 priority point waitlist, a 3 priority point waitlist, a 2 priority point waitlist, a 1 priority point waitlist, and a 0 priority point waitlist. And all of them come in ranking order. So let's say 4 priority points, they are numbers 1 through 20, and then the 3 priority point waitlist will be 21 through on, and so on and so forth within their each priority groups. All of the applicants by the end of December, we really try to get it out before November, but end of December, you will most definitely receive your lottery position, and it'll tell you where you landed. And so you'll receive, if you're applying to both waitlists, you'll receive 2 emails. So one for the BMR rental program, and then one also for the BMR ownership program. We do verify all information that is submitted on the waitlist application. And your household can be disqualified if you either falsify documents or information, or if we have multiple applications that are submitted by the same household. Let me kind of explain what that means. So You wouldn't be disqualified if you apply for the rental program and the ownership program. There's no disqualification there. But let's say mom wants to apply for the BMR rental program. So we have mom that applies, and then mom is like, okay, well, let me try to up my chances and apply with my daughter and with my grandson. So now mom is on two different applications, one by herself and then one with mom and son. And then mom and son say, hey, let's try to up our chances as well and submit an application by myself. So now we have three different applications for one household. And that is what we mean by this. So if we are able to go through and we see, hey, this person has applied, this person is part of a household in three different applications. Unfortunately, all three applications will be discarded and you will be disqualified from the program. You're more than welcome to apply next year. But within that current year, unfortunately, you would be disqualified. So we do ask everyone, we understand that there are different family dynamics. However, just please only submit one household. Even if you are somebody that's thinking about moving in with somebody else, make that determination before you submit the waitlist application, because again, if you're like, oh, I'm thinking about moving in with this person, so I'm going to submit one by myself and then one with the person, unfortunately, that would disqualify you. So kind of just a heads up. And then again, we do verify all information that's submitted on the application. Okay, now the burning question of the night is how to join the 2025 waitlist. The best way, which we do recommend, is online. It is available at www.risehousing.com, which is listed here on the screen. On there, we will have a banner at the very top of our webpage, and it'll say, the City of Cupertino's BMR waitlist is now open. Apply now. You would click there and it would take you directly to the site. You can also email us. Email is also a great way to kind of correspond with us if you have any questions that weren't answered tonight or just questions in general about the program. You are more than welcome to email us, or you can also ask us for an application. The email is right here on the screen. It's cupertino@risehousing.com. You can always send us mail, and our address is located here at Walnut Creek, and I'll leave it up on the screen towards the end, but it is 1990 North California Boulevard, North California Boulevard, 8th floor, number 1074. And it'll be open for the entire month of October, so October 1st through October 31st, and October 31st, it does close at 5:00 p.m. So kind of just a heads up. Again, this is our contact information. So our address, our email address, cupertino@risehousing.com, and our phone number is 415-301-5448. We do recommend that you email us. Sometimes we're a lot faster via email than we are through the phones, but we're always here. We're always available if you guys do have any questions. Now, we are going to get to the point of questions, and I see that there are 6 questions in the Q&A, so I will go through them, and I do see that Matt has been answering them, and so I'll go over his answers as we're kind of going through. Okay, so Ming asked, let's see if I can, okay. Does being a student count as working in Cupertino? It does not, and you wouldn't receive a preference point. So if you're working inside of the college, like if you're doing, I forget exactly what it's called, but like student assistant or working as a student, and you're earning wages, that would count. But if you're just attending like Deanza, unfortunately, that doesn't count. Also, if I get a public employee job during the year, can I improve my place in the housing waitlist, or do I have to wait until next year? If you do have any updates to your waitlist application, I would recommend emailing us, so cupertino@risehousing.com. And then the next one is Andre Megerson has asked, forgive me if I pronounce your name wrong. But they have asked, greetings, Matt. If I completed an application for 2024 and never received a number, how do we fix that? So when I complete the 2025, I do not have a negative effect on the lottery process. Andre, I would actually ask that you email us, because you should have received a number if you did submit an application for 2024. So I would recommend that you email us. We'll be able to look up your application individually, and then we'll kind of get that settled. Somebody anonymous has asked, what is the average number of applicants per priority point group, and do most people apply for rentals or purchase? This is a good question. I would say that the most priority points, so in the priority point group, we have a lot of threes and we have a lot of twos. And then a lot of people, we tend to see more action in the rental application. Somebody asked, follow-up question, if I hit 100K, I can just withdraw to keep it under 100K to qualify, or is that falsifying / hiding money? That would be considered hiding money, and we do ask when there are large transactions inside of your bank statements. So when you're applying, we do ask for 2 months of bank statements. We'll go through it, and then if we see any large transactions, like we'll ask you, hey, what's going on here? Also, if you have any large deposits, so any deposits over $500, we'll ask you for verification, and we do need like written verification, so something solid that we're like, okay, this makes sense. I hope that answers your question. Mohammed says, how many units normally open up each year for sale under BMR program? We typically have 1 to 2. Last year we had 3 units open up. Another anonymous asks, if we apply and receive the first time home ownership certificate, does the certificate ever expire in the eyes of Rise Housing? No, but we do want it to be within the last 2 years. That first time homeownership certificate does go over a lot of vital information. And we just want everybody to be as prepared as possible when they're buying a home, because it is kind of a scary process. So we just recommend within the last 2 years. Somebody anonymous asked, does a state employee count as a government employee? Not. So if you're asking specifically to qualify for that additional preference point, which is like being a public employee within the city of Cupertino, unfortunately not. You do have to work in the city of Cupertino in order to qualify for that preference point. Let's see. Meseret is asking, how do we get the resale house? I have not received any resale information since I have been in the waitlist for the last 4 years. So when we get a notice of a vacancy, we typically reach out to, the first time we reach out to the top 30 on the waitlist and let them know that a home has become available. If somebody within that top 30 does not qualify, then we'll start going through the rest of the wait list in batches of 30 to 50, depending on the interest level of the house. But that Mesra, if you want to go ahead and email us, we'll kind of dig into that for you. But that would probably be like my first assumption. Jesus is asking, I live in Cupertino, but the office is in Los Gatos, but I do a lot of electrical work in Cupertino. If you would be able to get like verification from your employer that your work is in Cupertino, that would count. But if your main office is in Los Gatos and you do go into the office in Los Gatos, unfortunately that would not count. So I hope that answers your question. Anonymous has asked, do Unvested company stock options or restricted stock units count towards assets? And do annual bonuses count towards income limit? Yes and yes. Robin has asked, if you are limited to a minimum of one person per bedroom, what happens in the near future if you get married or have kids? Are you stuck? This is a good question. So let's say you do decide to expand your family or your family is expanding. What happens in that case is, unfortunately, we're not able to size up. So you would need to come out of the BMR rental program and then reapply in order to get a bigger unit. The only way, actually, that's pretty much the only way. If you are downsizing, so let's say you are a family, your daughter or son or somebody in the household has left, and now you went from like a household of two down to a household of one, then you would be moved into an appropriately sized unit if you were in a 2-bedroom. But if you are expanding, unfortunately, we don't size up. Hope that answers your question. There we go. Sorry. Answer live. Can a household of 4 apply to an available 3-bedroom BMR home for purchase? Yes, we don't have a maximum of how many household members have to live in the house, but we do have a minimum. So a household of 4 would qualify for a 3-bedroom unit. I have no other questions, but let's see if I can find some that we didn't go over. Yes, somebody asked a scenario, if they live in San Jose and don't work in Cupertino at all, how many points would they have? And unfortunately, it would be 0. So I have this one, which is, if my family of 3 people work in Cupertino, how many points can I get? So you can only get however many points. So the 3 people that work in Cupertino, unfortunately, you wouldn't get like 2 points per person. It's just per household. So the household would qualify for 2 points. Somebody anonymous asked, are there annual inspections that you need to abide by to regularly maintain your property? There aren't annual inspections. However, we do what is called an annual monitoring. And so every year we do this effort where we send out a letter to all the BMR owners and we ask them, hey, are you still living in your property? Is your property still well maintained? And so it's kind of like a self-certification that you are still living in your property and that your property is well maintained. And also when you are purchasing the home, we have what's called resale restrictions that are attached and recorded onto the property. So that way, if something happens with the home, they know that it is part of the City of Cupertino's below market rate program. And in those resale restrictions, which are signed by you and by the city, it's basically an agreement between you and the city saying, I'm receiving this home at a below market rate price. These are my promises, which I promise to upkeep my home and keep it maintained. So I hope that answers your question. This is a beautiful name, Safora, and I'm saying it right. But it says, if I register on the waiting list, when do I get the results? So the wait list is again open between October 1st and October 31st. So for the entire month of October, the wait list will be open. We will send out results before the end of December, definitely, but we try to get them out by November. Somebody said, If 2 bedrooms home were sold this year, why did I not receive any notification? So this year we actually haven't had any homes come up for sale. I am within the top 30 waitlist and more than households of 2. Yes, so this year thus far we have not received any homes that have come up for sale. However, we may have some coming up soon, so I would hold off. But you can always email us at cupertino@risehousing.com.
Sorry, that was my Janina, can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, go for it.
Yeah, sorry, that was my mistake. So we had two that closed. They technically closed this year. They closed in January, but we identified buyers in November and December for those homes. So we used the previous year's wait list. So when I answered your question previously about those sales prices being in, the low and mid 400,000s for those 2 bedrooms, that was using last year's list, not this year's list.
Yes, thank you so much, Matt. Yes. So depending on when we get a sale, so let's say we have a sale that comes up this month, then we'll utilize this year's wait list. But sometimes escrow takes a really long time, and sometimes it can drag on for more than 30 days, although the typical process is about 30 days. But sometimes it can take up to like 60 days. So depending on when we receive the notice and then also prepping that home to become available for sale, they do have to pass inspections. They have to pass a pest inspection. And all those reports are made available to the buyer. So it is kind of a lengthy process to resale your home. Not terrible, but it's a bit of legwork that goes behind having a home that comes up for sale.
Similar to a market rate. So
Yes, thank you, Matt. Very similar. Um, Somebody wrote into the Q&A, I already applied for the Alameda waitlist. Do I have a chance to apply for this? Absolutely. We recommend that you apply for this waitlist. Now, being on the Alameda waitlist is separate than this waitlist. Sorry, the sun is like in my eyes. But being on the Alameda waitlist is separate from the Cupertino waitlist. So you do have to apply for both separately. And it won't up your chances being on the Alameda waitlist. Somebody asked, don't we have any BMR houses in the newly constructed houses in front of De College? Not that we're aware of, no. And I believe there was a slide. Sorry, I'm gonna go a little fast. Here we go. These are new developments. So any new developments, if you want any kind of information, I would highly recommend that you go to the City of Cupertino's main landing page for their community development, and it'll let you know what up and coming projects they have coming up. But as far as what's in our program, so the BMR homes that we manage, we don't have any newly constructed homes that are in front of De College.
this could be student housing too. We
Yeah.
don't know. Yeah, it's possible that some developments can potentially pay an in lieu fee, so they can pay a fee to the city instead of providing BMR units, or it could just be student housing. So we're not sure, but it's not any BMR units that landed in this housing program.
Yes. Thank you. An anonymous asks, what is the maximum down payment for the BMR purchase program to be qualified? I'm gonna skip over some slides, so I apologize for this. But there is an asset limit. So this kind of answers your question about the maximum down payment, but because there is an asset limit, that would also kind of imply that there is a maximum down payment. So if you have $100,000 in assets, you are at the maximum of the asset limit. So you cannot exceed $100,000 or 30% of the BMR purchase price. So we'll just call it 100,000 just for to make it a little bit easier. So let's say you have $100,000, you're like, okay, this is how much I want to put towards the down payment of my home. And afterwards, you'll kind of be left with nothing, aside from whatever you have in retirement. So that would essentially be the maximum down payment that you have for your BMR home. Anonymous asked, is it fair to say a 4-bedroom BMR home comes up for sale that it would be under 600K? Actually, I have a great story about this. We did have a 4-bedroom home come up for sale in Cupertino. It was a beautiful home. It was, I believe, 485,000, if not a little less. So this is a great program to get into, especially as a first-time home buyer. And then the second part of that question is there a maximum price ceiling since it is BMR applicants? There are restrictions that come along with the homes. So the homes, for example, could never be priced at $1 million or 1.2 or market rate value. So they will always be priced below whatever the market rate is going for. Somebody asked, my son is 26 years old and disabled and is the applicant. Who can be included in his household? I am his mom and work in Cupertino. Would we get 2 points? Mom, if you are planning on living with your son and you guys are considered as one household, then yes, absolutely. You guys can apply together. You guys would be considered as one household and you guys would get 2 points. Now, if you are just applying with him in order to benefit from the 2 points and you don't actually end up moving in, you would be disqualified from the program. So, if you guys are planning on living together and you submit your application together, you would qualify for the 2 points. But if it's just for the benefit of getting the 2 points and having son be on his own, unfortunately, that would disqualify you from the program. Some anonymous said, any chance Rise Housing is managing the BMR unit in 22690 Stevens Creek Boulevard project? So again, I'm going to kind of go through these slides, and I do apologize. But
We know that there's a development agreement in process. We don't know if it's going to fold. If it does come up, it will fold into the BMR program, is my understanding, but we don't know if that's going to be in 2025 or we haven't received formal direction on that.
yes, thank you so much, Matt. Somebody said, I joined late. Is it possible to download the slide? Yes, these slides will be made available on our website tomorrow. So the recording and the slides will be made available tomorrow. And then I believe Matt is answering this through the chat, but in case somebody else was wondering if we have any BMRs in San Jose, we do not. I don't have any more questions that are coming up. So I'll give everybody a minute. Oh, there we go. Some more. Is there a priority of a household of 100% AMI that has over a household of 120% AMI? No. Each home has their own designated income band. So 2 homes that are next to each other that are both BMR homes, one can be for 100% AMI and the other one can be for 120% AMI. So there is no prioritization depending on how much money you make. Let's see. Somebody asked, they're just hopping on. Can they qualify if they want to move there? Because so the wait list is open to anybody. It's not just specific to those who live in Cupertino or work in Cupertino. So if you apply for the wait list, you are able to apply for the wait list. Yes. Anonymous asks, does parents' income included in, okay, what I believe this is asking is, do my parents' income, is it included in qualifying for the BMR program? So whoever is part of your household, so if it's mom, dad, parents, children, everybody's household income is included. Obviously, kids don't work, but if you have a 21-year-old who is working, but they go to college, we make like we don't take all of their income, but if you do have elderly parents that are living with you and they're included in your household, then we would count their income. So if it's like Social Security, that would be counted as part of income. Yes. Um, Somebody asked, does the waitlist open October 1st, 2024 or October 2025? Because in the slide says 2024. Does it say 2024? I apologize. I am jumping around. Ah, you're totally correct. I apologize. That is a typo. The waitlist will open from October 1st, 2024 up until October 31st, 2024. So this application period between the entire month of October, it's going to be for our 2025 waitlist. So we'll use this for beginning January 1st of 2025. Okay, that wraps up the questions that I got. Well, I think we're gonna wrap it up. So I do want to again thank everyone so much for spending your evening with us. I know it was a lot of information to get through. We will be posting this recording online at our website, which is www.risehousing.com. And then, so the slide deck will be made available, and then also the recording will be made available. If you have any additional questions, you can go ahead and email us. Our email is cupertino@risehousing.com. Or you can always call us. Our telephone number is, and I'll pull up our contact info here. Our telephone number is 415-301-5448. Our mailing address is also there, but we are fairly quick on email. So again, I want to thank everyone so much for spending your evening with me. I know it was a lot of information, but we got through it. And yeah, I'll see you guys next year. Goodbye.